Desire, when it is new, is so fresh and life-giving. Have you noticed? Is there any reason that all desire should not be new? In other words, is it normal to want things you already have? Interesting, isn't it? Is desire only talking about what hasn't come yet? So desire is about preference. It's about what I prefer relative to this or that or this or that. So is it possible for a desire to be unfulfilled for a long period of time, knowing what you know about source energy and your worthiness? Do you find it illogical that anyone, even you, would want something and want something and want something and want something and have it not come? Doesn't that strike you as odd? It does us. It strikes us as odd that any of you would have any desires unfulfilled that are aggravating to you. Because when you understand that you are in an environment which produces clarification and causes you to make determined statements or even silent vibrational offerings about what you want, and since we understand that the power of attraction is so strong and the willingness of source to answer whatever is being asked for, from our point of view, it is really illogical that you could have an old stale desire that is troubling to you. But then that's the reason for this gathering, isn't it? We have to say to you that there are a lot of people who do have things that they desire that seem to not be coming to fruition fast enough, or in some cases ever, it seems. But it isn't because you're not worthy, and it isn't because you're not asking, and it isn't even because you're not asking correctly, and it isn't because somebody else is getting it, and it isn't because it is lost out there somewhere and can't find you, and it isn't because there's not enough of it and somebody else has taken the quota of it, and so you have to find another desire if you want to get it fulfilled. It isn't anything like that. All it is that you are asking for something from a vibrational standpoint that is different from what you are asking for. And we think the trouble that you're having is that you have come to count so much on words and action, thinking that you make things happen through your action or that you make things happen through your words, when really everything happens through your vibration. So you could be asking for something steadily, often, loudly, and it may not be manifesting in your experience because you're asking from a pessimistic standpoint, or you're asking from a non-believing standpoint. You're asking from such a knowledge base of how things are that you are literally vibrationally blocking how you would like them to be. You're so accustomed to observing what is, to noticing what is, to talking about what is, to documenting what is, to making historical monuments about what is. It's no wonder your vibration gets full of what is. And that's a good thing if what is pleasing you, but it's not so good if what is not something that you want to keep replicating in your experience. So what happens to so many of our physical friends, bless your hearts, and we mean that in every sense of the word, you have become such realists, such observers of reality, such documenters of facts, such proponents of truth, that in many cases you have lost your ability to imagine yourself into a better place. Even though when you came forth into this physical body, that's exactly what you knew you would do. You never said, I'll go forth and look around and I'll just regurgitate what is. You said, I'll come forth, I'll look around, and from what I see, I will conjure, identify, bring into focus, extract, mine, hone, discover. I will find my way. I will create what pleases me from all of this. I'll take some of that and some of that and some of that and some of that, and I'll put it together, and I will create something different than anyone has ever created, that is unique to the personal preferences that are me. So you said, I'll be born into a specific environment, and that will influence me. And I'll co-create with others, and that will influence me. And I I will steep myself in the knowledge of the world, and that will influence me. But from all of this trial and error, from all of this moving through life, you said this, we heard you, we promised we would remind you, I will conjure, fashion, faction, determine, decide, prefer my own way about everything. And the universe will supply the goods, whatever's necessary, to bring it into manifestation. And you said, and the nice thing about this kind of molding process is, as it unfolds, if it doesn't please me, I can continue to modify it. You knew when you were born into this physical body, you knew long before that, you know from your broader non-physical perspective that you cannot get it done. None of us do. We are eternal beings. And you cannot get it wrong, because should you stand in a place that feels not good to you, from that clarifying position, you identify what you would prefer. And in the moment that you identify it, Source goes to work on delivering it. Your only work is you've got to go with the flow of your new determination. You can't continue to beat the drum of where you are. Now, why do you do that anyway? Well, we're not really asking you. We're wanting to pose the question so that you might ask yourself, why would I do such a thing? And we want to help you let yourself off the hook by saying to you, you do such a thing because somehow along your path you have become convinced that it's very important to explain where you are. And there is substance to that, because there is this distance to travel from where you are to where you want to be. So knowing where you are does give you some information about whether you're moving in the right direction or not. But you sort of got carried away with explaining where you are by going back and retracing your steps in a sort of justifying attitude of, well, this is where I am because of this and this and this and this and this. And we say, well, if you're explaining that you're where you are because of this and this and this and this and this, at the same time, you are assuring that you will remain there for here and here and here and here and here and here and here, because all of your power is right now. So if you're using your powerful now to explain how you got to a place you don't want to be, you are also using your powerful now to make sure that the next place is just like it, and the next place is just like it. Because future experience is mimicking what you're talking about now, what you're thinking about now, how you're feeling now. There's another pretty substantial reason that you try to justify or explain what has happened that has brought you to where you are. And we really want you to hear this, because as you hear this and sort of integrate it and watch yourself doing it and then do something different about it, this could serve you in a very powerful way. And for many of you who are here, we can feel that you're right on the brink of this understanding. You talk about how you got to where you are, because when you're standing in a place that is different from the place you want to be, not enough money, not enough vitality, not enough lover, not enough physical wellness, not enough clarity, not enough of something is where you're standing. At so many levels of your being, you know this is not who you are, and that something different really should be happening. At many levels of your being, you know you are supposed to be joyful, and you know you're supposed to feel good, and you know it's supposed to feel fun. You know that you are of value. You know that life is supposed to unfold in a powerful way for you. At many levels of your being, you understand this. So when you're standing right in the middle of something that seems to not be the way you know it should be, that's what elicits this explanation from you. And so next time you catch yourself explaining how you got to where you are, just stop and laugh and say to yourself, or to whoever's listening, if they're willing, the only reason that I keep beating this drum of justification is because I know who I really am, and who I really am is healthy. I know who I really am, and who I really am is prosperous. I know who I really am, and who I really am is clear-minded and steady and vital and alive and friendly and feeling good and loving and appreciative. That's who I really am. So if I'm standing here in this place and I'm not there, you sort of are going berserk on so many levels, because something has gone terribly wrong. You see, children, sometimes they just throw a tantrum. And it isn't because they're spoiled. It isn't because they're bad. It's because they remember how it's supposed to be. They remember that they're supposed to be adored. And they remember that it feels good when they adore. They remember that they're supposed to feel capable. And so if they're feeling confined, if they're feeling unloved or not appreciated, or if they're feeling in bondage, or if they're feeling held back, and they throw their tantrum, look at them and say, we all do that in some degree when we are not allowing ourselves to be, or when we are not feeling that we are being allowed to be who we are. Now, for most of you, it's that feeling of loss of freedom. It's that feeling that something has happened, someone is stronger, someone is bigger, someone is disorganized, someone is wrong, someone's in my life, and them being in my life makes my life not as good if they weren't in my life. Or something has happened and it would feel better if it would go away. And what we've noticed as we watch you run the gamut of your emotions, all the way from despair all the way up to that appreciative, joyous ecstasy that you find in words that you describe like passion, that gamut of emotions or vibrational frequencies that you translate through your solar plexus, that gamut of emotions is always about how empowered you feel or how disempowered you feel, how free you feel to be who you are or how suppressed you feel to be who you are. So, we want to tell you right up front, you are lovers. You were born to love. You are love. That's who you are. So if someone is standing before you and they are so blasted, unlovable, that you'd like to just kill them, you tend to want to give them the credit for how you feel. Because you didn't feel that way before they were standing there behaving in that way. And now they're standing there behaving in that way, you would like them to change their behavior so that you could feel better, wouldn't you? Admit it, we know. We read minds. But it's a trap, isn't it? Because you can't round them up and make them behave. They squirt out in all kinds of different ways. They escape, and you can't catch them all. In other words, if your happiness depends upon controlling the behavior of even one other, you are in deep doo-doo. Because you cannot vibrate for another, but you can vibrate for yourself. So, the art of allowing says, I'm going to learn how to offer a vibration no matter what so that I allow connection to source, which is what feels good. So, I don't have to throw any more tantrums. I don't have to have any more panic attacks. I never have to be afraid of anything. I can feel good under any and all conditions because I have the ability to focus my attention, past, present, and future, into thought patterns that feel good. I can allow the flow. The flow of what? The flow of connection to who you are. You are extensions of source energy. You are flesh, blood, and bone. You are beautiful in your bodies. But everything that you are in your bodies is a translation of the energy that you really are. You are eternal energy beings. You are transmitting and receiving mechanisms as you stay here in your bodies, but you are current, you are energy, you are vibration. So when we talk about going with the flow, or when we talk about the art of allowing what? The art of allowing your alignment with who you are. The art of allowing yourself to be in vibrational alignment with the energy of your source. For a while, we called this gathering the science of deliberate creation. But we saw you thinking too hard when we called it the science of deliberate creation. Oh, science. Science, I must study. We like the word science because it indicates something that is continuing to evolve. Deliberate, we like the word deliberate because that means I'm going to deliberately offer thought. And deliberately offering thought is so much more rewarding and so much of greater value to you than to offer thought by default or to sloppily offer thought. In other words, it's easy to just look around and talk about what you're seeing. It takes more concentration to look around and select the aspects of that which you are seeing. And the way you determine what aspects you're wanting to focus upon and activate in your vibration is by the way they feel. It's not so different from going to a buffet. You sort of pick your way through a buffet, and in time, you learn how that looks like that tastes when you get it in your mouth. And if it's unappealing to you, you don't do it very often. Sometimes something will fool you by the way it looks, but usually you can tell pretty much by the way it looks, and certainly by the way it smells, how it's going to taste when you get it in your mouth. And we want you to realize that your emotions are giving you information that is similar about all things that are important to you.